In this video, I'm going to break down the 6 U-Try problems that follow along with Lesson 5, Solving Proportions, from our equations topic. So if you need a little extra help on how to solve proportions and want to watch these breakdowns of each of these problems, please feel free. Remember, when we have a proportion set equal to fractions set equal to one another, we can cross multiply or draw our butterfly wings to help us solve that proportion. So starting in number 1, I see I have 2 fractions set equal, so I'm going to draw my butterfly wings, and you multiply those things that are grouped together. So we're going to do 6 times x, which will leave us with 6x. I'm going to put my equal sign, and then I'm going to group the next 2 things. 18 times 5. And in this first problem, I will break that down for you. And then what we're going to do from there, I'm going to actually multiply 18 times 5. So we get 6x equals 90. Okay? Now, in this case, we're ready to draw our line down the equal sign, and we're going back to our solving equation skills. How do we isolate that variable x? How do we get that x all by itself? Well, it's currently being multiplied by that 6, so to isolate it, we're going to divide both sides by 6, bring down our x, and we're left with x equals 15. Okay. Looking at question number 2, we're going to draw our first butterfly wing, 2, and then x minus 4. So remember, because that's more than one term, I want to put that x minus 4 in parentheses so I know they go together, and to make sure I distribute that 2 to that entire term. Set equal, draw my butterfly wings, 5 times 6. You can write that as 5 times 6, or if you're comfortable, you can just state it as 30 right off the bat. Moving on, we're ready to distribute. We're going to distribute that 2 to everything in parentheses. So that's going to give us 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. So I'm going to write minus 8, and that's going to equal 30. Now, from here, we have a 2-step equation. We're going to first work to isolate that 2x. We are going to do that by moving that minus 8, and if we want to move it to the other side, we need to do the opposite operation. So we're going to add 8 on both sides, draw an arrow down so we know we took care of that 2x. 30 plus 8 will give us 38. And now, last but not least, we're going to divide both sides by 2. That's going to leave us with x equals, I'll squeeze it in right there, 19. All right, let's move on to 3 and 4. So for 3, we see we have a proportion. We have a fraction equals a fraction. We're going to draw our butterfly wings. It doesn't matter which one you draw first. It seems I'm just in the habit of drawing from the top left to the bottom right. That denominator, 2x minus 7, is more than one term. So I'm going to put it in parentheses. I know I'm multiplying 3 by that term, 2x minus 7, or that expression. I'm going to set it equal. I'm now, going to cross multiply 5 times the quantity, that expression x plus 4. So that's going to also go in parentheses. From there, I'm going to say, okay, do I have any distribution to take care of? And I do. I'm going to draw my line down my equal sign. I'm going to distribute this 3 to everything in parentheses. So 3 times 2x will give us 6x. 3 times negative 7 will give us a negative 21. On the right-hand side, we're going to distribute or multiply that 5 to everything in parentheses. 5 times x will give us 5x. 5 times 4 will give us 20. Now we have an equation with the variables on both sides. So remember, when you have a variable on your left and right, you want to move them all to the same side. I like to move things over to the left if I can. So I need to take this 5x and move it over to the opposite side. So I'm going to do the opposite operation. And the opposite of a positive 5x is to subtract 5x. I'm going to make sure I align it with the other x term. 6x minus 5x leaves us with 1x, which I can just write as x. I'm going to draw an arrow down to make sure I move down that minus 21. Draw an arrow down to make sure I move down that 20. And then I'm going to try and work to get that x by itself. So I put it in a box, and how I move over that minus 21 is I need to add 21 to both sides. I want to do the opposite operation, bring that x down. 20 plus 21 is 41. And there's nothing I need to divide by here. My x is already isolated. If you did write 1x and you went to divide both sides by 1, 41 divided by 1 would just leave you with x is 41 still. All right, moving right along to number 4. So we see we are ready to cross multiply. We have a fraction equals a fraction. So I'm going to draw one set of wings, y times 7. It's best to write the coefficient in front, so we're going to write 7y. And then we have 4 times the quantity y minus 3. That's more than one term, so I'm going to put that y minus 3 in parentheses. Alrighty, next up we are going to distribute. Nothing to distribute on that left-hand side, so we can just bring that 7y down. On that right-hand side, we're going to distribute that 4, so that's going to become 4y, and then we're going to distribute it to the negative 3, so 4 times negative 3 will give us minus 12. Now from there, we're going to move that 4y over to the other side to join that 7y. To move it over, it's currently positive, so we're going to, subtract it. Make sure we align it. 7y minus 4y will give us 3y equals negative 12. And then from there, we need to get the y by itself, just one step. It says 3 times y, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. Which will leave us with y equals negative 4 because we're doing negative 12 divided by positive 3. Alrighty, onward and upward to our last 2 problems, number 5 and number 6. Hopefully you're getting the hang of it, and maybe you're just watching for 1 or 2 problems that you got tripped up on. No big deal. Watch what you need. So looking at number 5, we see we have a proportion. We see we have a fraction equals a fraction. I'm going to draw my butterfly wings. One thing to note is it technically doesn't matter what you put first, like it doesn't have to be the thing in the numerator on the outside. So you're multiplying, right? So 5 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 5. So it doesn't matter which one you put in the front. However, it makes sense when there is a singular number. In this case, that 3 in that denominator, I'm going to place that in the front. And then my quantity, 2y minus 6. I'm going to place that in parentheses. Wouldn't be wrong to put the 2y minus 6 first, just not exactly what we're used to seeing first. We're used to seeing the coefficient or the single value. And then we're going to have 4 parenthesis y plus 3. More than one term, we put it in parentheses. All right, let's see if we can boogie through this. So we do see we're going to have to distribute. 3 times 2 will give us 6y. 3 times negative 6 will give us negative 18. Distribute on that right-hand side. 4 times y will give us 4y. 4 times 3 will give us positive 12. We are going to move over our variables all on the left. So to move that positive 4y over, we do the opposite operation. So we're going to subtract 4y. Make sure we align it. 6y minus 4y is 2y. We're going to bring down that minus 18. And we'll bring down our positive 12. When it's positive, we don't have to put the plus. We can just bring down 12. I'm going to put our 2y in the box. We need to move over that minus 18. So I'm going to add 18 to both sides. Draw my arrow down. So I have 2y equals 30. And then last but not least, we're going to divide both sides by 2 to get y by itself. And we get y equals 15. Squeeze it in right there. Hopefully, once we do our crisscross multiplying and we go to the solving part, hopefully that is feeling better and you're more comfortable with that solving process and you see that it's kind of the same steps cycled over and over again. All right, last but not least, we have a fraction equals a fraction, so we're good to cross multiply. So we have 1 times the quantity x plus 3. Now remember, anything times 1 is just itself. So if you feel comfortable to say, oh, 1 times x plus 3 is just x plus 3, I'm just going to put that, please feel free to do so. Then I'm going to do 2 times the quantity 2x minus 9, so we have to put that in parentheses. We are ready to distribute. 1 times x is just 1x. If it helps you, you can put that 1 in front. 1 times 3 is just 3. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. We're going to draw our line down the equal sign. We have a variable on the left and on the right, so we're going to move all of our variables on one side. I'm going to collect it to the left by subtracting that 4x. It's going over by doing the opposite operation. 1x minus 4x gave us negative 3x. And then I'm going to bring down everything else. And remember, I like to put those arrows there so I know that there is a mark for every single thing, so they're all accounted for. Okay, from here, we're going to put our negative 3x in the box. Maybe you're getting so familiar with these problems, you no longer need the box. I do think the line is still very helpful. We need to do the opposite of plus 3 to get the box alone, so we're going to subtract 3. Bring down our negative 3x. Negative 18 minus 3 is negative 21. And then last but not least, that is negative 3 times x. There's no operation between those two things, so they're glued together with multiplication. The opposite of multiplying by a negative is to divide by a negative. And so we divide both sides by negative 3, and we get x equals, this is going to be positive 7, because it's negative divided by a negative. So hopefully you found that helpful for the U-Tries for Lesson 5 of our equations topic. Keep watching for more awesome Algebra 1 content.